Hello, my name is Susie DeJong, speaker, coach, and author of The Untangling. And this is the Untangling series podcast, where we untangle our own unseen and unspoken chains that bind us to open up the way for us to experience more joy and peace and healing than we ever thought possible. So come and join me. Put on your comfiest clothes, grab a cup of something hot, or maybe even a glass of something bubbly. Put your feet up and let the untangling begin. Welcome back to the next episode of the Untangling podcast series. I've been absent for a little while due to life circumstances, but today I am back and I'm so excited to be here with you again. Today I'm thrilled to share an interview with a beautiful soul who, although we haven't met in person, I consider as a valued connection in my life. Her name is Susan Mullen. There's something very special about Susan, and that is her ability to connect intuitively with people and animals alike. Her clairvoyant abilities are rooted in her interpretations in her sessions with both people and animals. Inherited from her father, who is both a psychic and a medium, her wide open field enhances and serves intuitive soul sessions with people and animals. People who perhaps want to know more about their own paths, but also who want to connect with their beloved animals, whether they are here in the earthly realm or have transcended. We all love our animals, and I've personally worked with Susan for assistance with my own animal companions. Susan is also a strong advocate for animal rights, and as a result has transitioned into a plant-based and vegan lifestyle, which she also feels pulled to share with those drawn to that way of life, by way of a step-by-step program to assist in every facet of this lifestyle. This is Susan's story. Hi everybody, and welcome back at Susie DeJong with the Untangling podcast. And I've had a bit of a hiatus, I guess you would call it. I haven't done some podcasts for quite a while because life just happened. But I'm back and I am doing my favourite thing, one of my favourite things, which is interviewing amazing people with amazing stories, everyday people. I just think we all have something special to share, every single one of us. And so I'm delighted today to have a dear friend and guest coming all the way from Maine in New England in the USA. And her name is Susan Mullen. Now, I interviewed Susan, we're not quite sure, I think it was about 6 years or 7 years ago. And I don't even know how we met. Somewhere in the land of internet, I think somewhere in Facebook land. And we don't always catch up that often, but whenever we do, it's just like time stood still and we just connect. And I love that we can connect right across the world with one another. And she has so many special gifts. And I thought, how am I going to describe what Susan does? And I had to laugh because she put a post up the other day on Instagram, I think, a meme or a cartoon or something, and it was, how do I explain, when people ask you, what do you do? Now, I struggle with that too because I don't know. I colour outside the lines. I don't fit in a box. So now you can hear my dog having a drink. Sorry about that, but that's real life in my lounge room. So I looked up her website just to make sure I got the wording right, and then I'm going to throw over to her. So Susan said that she is an intuitive alchemist, an animal communicator, author, and certified intuitive coach. That's a lot, Susan, and welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, Susie, thank you so much. It's such a joy to be with you again. And I absolutely agree and feel the same way you do. We could go months, years, decades. I don't know. We haven't done that yet, but and we catch right up. And you're like this soul sister across the pond. And I think I'm in Maine, you're in Australia, and it's like, it's exactly across the earth. So, but yeah, life threw us together in the universe. And and what's funny is that neither of us remember how we met or exactly where. And that's perfect. That is like perfection to me. And we're not supposed to. It's just, we're soul to soul, and we met up, and here we are. So thank you.
I
I'm,
think
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
I love it. I love talking to you. And I just think it's funny how you just gel with some people, it's just like there is this connection, even though you're not blood, it feels like it. And I know we have over the time that we've spoken, that I think we have similar personalities. Some of our traits are very similar. So can you explain to me all those titles I just read out? Can you just tell me a little bit about each of those, and maybe how you fell into them or how you navigated towards that particular path?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Thank you. The one thing about websites and having your elevator speech and having the bio and all of that is coming up with language that can relate to people, to somehow relate to you. But I don't know what it is exactly I do or how I do it. I mean, I do, but it's hard to really grasp and explain. And I love that you remember that what I just put up on my Instagram, about how do I explain what I do? And it's pulling somebody through by their hair. It's not really about that, but it's, what I do is feel energy and connect with the soul of a person and or an animal, both. The fish in the sea, the grasshopper, they're all living beings that connect me to a greater universal guidance system, guides, people's guides. God is at the very top. But all the angelic realm, personal guides for people and animals become our guides, and all the different layers. And I learn something new all the time. I'm not accomplished. I'm not, the one. I just do what I do, and I know what I know. But that said, it's hard to explain because it's energy. So I am using my energetic field, and it took me a long time, to manage that and to come into, to love it and to understand it, because I didn't understand it. I had a wide open reach when I was very young, and I knew things I shouldn't have known at that age about people and adults around me and my friends and animals, and things would just come in, and I didn't have a container for it. And so I didn't know what to do with it. So I ignored it, and I had to put it away because I had to be a little girl and a human being in this physical world. And I wanted to just play hopscotch, and I wanted to just go to my friend's house and have an ice cream cone. And I don't eat ice cream anymore. But that said, no, but really, just to be, everybody wants to fit in and be normal. But I think our human experience is to not be that, and to bring our gifts and our light and do it anyway, like really do it, anyway. And it took me a long time to find that, figure it out. But my dad, I found out, through growing up with him and being a later teen, early 20s, my father was, God bless him, was a psychic medium. So he did see the other side. He had psychic connections. He picked the horse on the Kentucky Derby in the 70s. Like, he couldn't explain any of it, but that was the language of where I came from. And I come from central Maine. So it's very, it's very quiet. I don't want to say cultish, but it's a hamlet of the world. And you know where you come from, you know who you are, you know who your family members are, and you just don't talk about anything. So that sort of thing wasn't in our vocabulary. It wasn't in my father's. But I feel, I really do know that a lot of that got passed down to me. And so when we met up later in life and he was more comfortable, especially when my mom died. He was saying, like, here she is, I see her. And he would talk to me and helped me in the last 8 years before he passed. So all of that, I've been doing a ton of work before that too, but it all gelled and came together that I'm from a family who, and I learned his aunts and others had some sort of sight or connection, or it's a sensitivity. It's what it is. We're all sensitive. We all have sensitivities. My sensitivity is to the beating heart in front of me. It's an animal, it's a person, it's the cricket, like I said, it's whatever. So, and the alchemist part, yeah, you mentioned. So that word alchemy just means transition. I can transmute experiences, energy, things people are feeling and seeing themselves, and bring that into meaning. So it helps people understand their animals, and animals understand their humans, where they live, and they just got adopted or something. And so that alchemy part is just means transmuting energy in a way that people can understand with language.
And so if I just sort of recap on that. So you, as a young girl, realised that there was something different about you. There was something that you knew that other people didn't know. So I guess maybe back then you might have called it intuition.
Right. Yeah.
But it obviously, that must have been difficult when you were, trying at that age, just all you want to do is be the same as everyone else, especially when you're at school. How did that affect you?
Yeah, I call it my challenging time. No, it was, I got quiet, backing into that a little bit. When I was 4 years old, I fell out of a moving car. Back then we didn't have seatbelts. It wasn't anyone's fault. It was just a big station wagon. My mom had some kids, and I was near the door, and we went around a corner, the door went open, and I went out. But it was okay. I'm here. But I remember that was so specific to me, because I remember falling right on my face, and I had stitches, I lost teeth and all that. But I remember being frozen to the ground. I didn't dare to move. And I saw a car coming at me, stopping, vroom, things were happening all at once. But right before that, I just heard, get up. I heard, get up. Who? Okay. I heard it, like, it was gentle and kind. It wasn't gender specific. It was, get up, get up. And it was like urging me to do that. So I got up on my arms, and that's when the car stopped, because I feel my guides, but I actually feel that was God, saying, if you don't get up, you might be run over. And that is like where free will comes in to all of us. I didn't have to get up. I could have discounted it. I could have been frozen and stayed there, and I might have been hit, and that might have been my exit, or it might have been other physical challenges to me. I don't know, but I got up. I did it anyway. I didn't know where it was coming from, but I knew it was for me and not against me. So
wow.
Anyway, so that's when everything started like kicking in. After that, I got quiet. I'm the youngest. I'm the youngest of 4 girls. My parents, we had 4 daughters. I'm the youngest, and it was a busy household, and it was very active. And I was, right in my role as the youngest, and I was funny, and I was, all the stuff, but I got quiet, and I actually got moody. and then I would like go through phases of letting that part go and fitting in and with my friends. And then by the time I got to, older teens and early 20s, it was coming back, and like with a vengeance, and I would really know things and I couldn't explain it. So it was kind of like years where I didn't understand it all, and people probably didn't understand me a whole lot, but it wasn't negative. It was a very precise learning experience.
Do you think your father knew at that time about your gift as well?
Oh, great question. great question. You know, he probably did. And knowing exactly where we came from, where he came from, you just didn't talk about it. And I thank you for saying that, because I feel we always had this like secondhand, conversation. We just gelled. And he was a merchant marine, so he was a marine engineer. He would go out on shipping. He would ship around the world. He's been everywhere, Australia a million times. But he so when he would come back, we would catch up, and just like you and I, it would just be like time didn't go by. And he understood. And I feel he probably did, because when we started talking about this later in life, he was telling me about his aunts and others that did this too. So, or just new things. It's not did this. It's just we're sensitive beings. Mm-hmm.
And I know that you had a career as a photographer, and then you just got to a point where you felt like, I need to explore this more. What was the shift for you that you changed careers and became an intuitive coach?
Yeah, so it was, I had a 20-year career as a photographer. I was a photojournalist, wedding photographer. I loved that career. Like I really did. It was just the most beautiful thing, because it was my creative side. I got to go out and just intuitively shoot the weddings or the events or people and animals, and just find their personality in the whole event that I was hired to capture. And I loved it, and I was good at it, and it was a good thing. But I remember the time when my soul, I was being pulled to, time to pivot. I didn't have the words for that. I had the feelings for it, but I didn't know exactly what was going on, because with photography, you get booked out a year to 18 months. People plan their weddings in that time. It takes time to get your person, your photographer, the caterer. It's more than the next season. It's a year to 18 months. And there was a point where I was feeling like my flower, my guide, was saying, now, and I'm like, what do you mean? There's just money on the table. Like, no. What's happening? It's like, it's time. And I didn't know exactly what that meant or what I would do, but I trusted it. And I started like understanding like what it's time for, what she was saying was, it's time for you to embrace this part of you and bring it out and help humanity in a different way. I would help them remember their memories. I had these tangible photos, and it was very intuitive. It was very photojournalistic. And they would, my goal was, if somebody couldn't make it to their wedding, I wanted them to experience how it felt to be at their wedding. And that's what I want with people and their animals, and animals where they're humans, to understand who they are and how it feels to be in relationship with each other. And it was time to leave the tangible part, the photo part, and go into the soul part. And that's when I learned. And so that's when I found Colette Baron Reed, and she had this intuitive coach, master intuitive coach. Am I intuitive? I can't remember it right now. She doesn't have it anymore, but she was
intuitive coach you up.
Yeah, yes. But at the time, so she was certifying, people, intuitives, and into being intuitive coaches. And so I was so drawn to that. And I completed a course of that. And that got me into that sort of helping people in that way. And then always came back to animals, because animals were actually the first. They were my first teachers. And I went the whole roundabout way to come back to animals. So I was always saving the kitten. I was taking the grasshopper somewhere, and the worm. I mean, I'd bring a worm back to the grass and all the things like that. But that's what it came. So I had to go through all the parts I had to go through, which was a joy. And it was just part of my path. And to get to the part where the animals were there. and everything opened wide when the animals started like really chirping like into my ear, and everything changed.
Wow. I mean, I just love this connection with the animals that you have. And I often send Susan little videos of our Australian animals because I
Yes, you do.
can't wait for her to come out here one day and experience.
I know.
But I always think of you first whenever I see animals. And I've actually, I mean, you helped me at one point with my beautiful Daisy dog who passed away last year, and you helped a friend of mine with her cat and helped us connect and understand what they were feeling, which was worrying about us, of course. Um, so tell me how you actually work with animals now. What sort of
Right.
capacity do you do that? Or animals and people, I should say.
Yes, thank you. So with animals and people, now I'm focusing or doing mostly, it's just funny how things just transition with you. If you're understanding the pull and you're going with it, let the universe figure it out. Let God figure that out. Just trust it and you go with it and things fall together instead of apart. Because when we hang on tight, things will fall apart. But if we go with it, even if we're scared, they fall together. And we don't have to know how or when, it just trust. So that trust piece had to come in. So I find a lot out through animals about their humans and humans through their animals. But right now, what I feel I'm pulled to do and what I'm doing is, the transition service when animals are ready to transition. I have a special session for that animal transition service to be the conduit between people and their animal, their companion animal right in front of them who is ready to transition. Things are happening, things are changing, their health is declining. They know it's time, but they want to know, or they don't know, what does the animal feel? What does my dog feel? The cat, the horse, the bird, the parrot. Is it time? How do I do it? How do I know? All of that. Because animals, that's that soul contract part that we have with one another and with animals, because we're all beings. We just have different jumpsuits on right now, but we're all souls, and we come into each other's lives on purpose and with purpose. And so I bring that about, and the timing can feel like it's disrupting everything, and it does, and it is, and it's painful, but there is meaning behind that. That's what I like, what I feel I can bring in, and I do bring in to people to see that, because it's never easy or fun or any part of joy to let a soul, a body, someone we love, a person, an animal, go on to where their next journey is. So they're saying, it's time for me to go. I know it's hard, but it is time. And, all that stuff that comes up is actually why my card deck, I know we'll get to, but is exactly what that is about. So that's my role, I feel, with animals, especially companion animals. And I've even branched off into other animals, the wild animals, the animals in the food system, and all of those are talking to me too. So I've just become more I don't know, enlightened, encompassed with all of them, because all animals are actually the same, just like all human beings are. And they're all seeking their freedom, their liberation. They don't want to be in boxes. They don't want to, oh, this group does this group does that. Animals don't want it either. They're animals, and we are humans. That is what I feel I'm here to mend or merge into meaning. And it's not easy.
It's not easy. It's not easy. And I wish, but having just gone through it myself, and, my dog was Daisy. She was 17. So like we'd had her since she was 18 months old. And yeah, it's hugely emotional time. And I know she was fighting to stay here. she didn't want to go because she knew how it was going to affect us. But yeah, it's not, it's not our right to hang on, even though we desperately want to. The same with humans. Yeah, I mean, I was with my dad when he took his last breath, and yeah, but I remember asking a clairvoyant I went to, why, and she said he wanted you there. And then I thought, see, it wasn't about me. It was about him. So I think what you're offering is just so powerful. Yeah, because they are our companions. We don't own them. They just chose to live with us.
Yes, this temporary body, this temporary, space and time, this exact year. So when we get them, when we find each other, and when they exit is so crucial to understanding. Yeah, their entrance and their exit is right on time, always.
So I'd love you to share, because we actually held this chat off for a while until you had your final product finished. But please tell me about your beautiful card deck, and of course I'll share all the details of how people can receive it. So if you wouldn't mind sharing. Now it's called, what's your card deck called? Sorry.
Yeah, it is called Soul Messages from Your Animal Companion on the Other Side. And that's a mouthful, but it's exactly what it is. A 47 card deck and guidebook. So it's a typical, if you're into cards, if you pull cards for yourself, or you have a lot of Colette Baron Reed's cards, or anyone, John Holland's, like anyone else's, it's a card deck, but it is specifically designed to connect you to the soul essence of your animal companion on the other side, who has transitioned, who is already there. It could be one from your first memory, your first cat or dog growing up. It could be the one that just left you now. And even it's a great deck for those in transition or know what's coming, just to have, because the guidebook, do you see it? Okay, I know things are kind of backwards here, but it explains a lot about soul contracts and the messages, the most, like what I found, the most important or crucial messages that animal companions want us to understand, and especially how they view the other side, how they view the dying process, which is just transitioning from one being to one way to be to another. It's getting out of the physical form and going into spiritual. It's just being a soul body, which is natural, which we all are, and we will be, and we have been. They are too, but they know our physical, like our human journey included them to be part of the love, part of the learning, part of the growing, all that expansion. Like our companion animals come in to expand us and open our heart in ways we didn't know could exist. But that said, so the cards, they're just, it's a card deck, and there's 47 of the most consistent messages I've received over the years from them that pertain to, what, like when I do readings, when I do one-on-one animal communication readings, people ask, these are the questions that come up. What, how did, are they okay? Do they understand? Was it time? What are they doing? What's it like over there? What do they want me to know next? So a lot of times that's part of this deck too, because they come in as a soul contract being with us, a soul. And so they helped us expand in some areas we didn't know, we don't even know, but it's true, it's happening. And the card deck will talk about, touch upon some of those areas that they help us with.
And
yeah,
I just love it. I love it. I feel quite emotional now when you're talking about all of that. And
well, I want to.
I would love to ask if you would do the honor of pulling a card for me.
Absolutely.
And
My
if I
honor.
start bawling my eyes out,
My
please
honor and
excuse
pleasure.
me.
No, thank you. So I knew we were doing this. I knew we had this date down. And what's interesting, how I work, and I'm just shuffling now because I'm calling it in, and I'm just connecting as I talk. Opening the gate, like when we have an exchange of energy with someone, whether it's an agreement, like Susie, you and I, we agreed we're going to do this. And I know, I remember, when you lost Daisy, it was just forever. And I knew there would be a point, there would be a time where, I want to like do this for you and connect with her and bring her in. But once we get a date down, or when someone like hires you, or whatever that exchange of energy is, whether they're exchanging money for time, like, I don't know about others. I can only speak for myself. Everything starts coming in. It's like, okay, we're on. There's, it's in, and things filter in. It just kind of falls down. And it's a few days. And I often write notes before my sessions. I almost always do. And I start my sessions that way with a lot of notes, but okay. So I want to ask you, do you have a specific question or area for beautiful Daisy? Do you have, because I feel you might.
I guess I just want to know if she's around me.
Well, I'm getting she is absolutely around you. That is a yes. And you may get okay. Oh. Ooh. I love this one. Oh, okay. It's called We Did It. And it is not card number 15. I need to read it to you. This is very special to me because I will tell you in a minute. So it is called We Did It! Exclamation point. Your animal companion conveys that the physical part of the soul contract they share with you is complete. When animals show up at specific points and time frames in our lives, it is in part to help us become more conscious human beings. They agree to do their part for a particular period and then continue to love and guide us from the other side. Our part in our animal soul's journey is to allow them to serve us and humanity as they experience all the good and the not so good this world has to offer. In the spirit realm, we make specific agreements with people and animals. We just talked about this. So we can learn, grow, work on lessons, and experience love and loss, all for our soul's evolution. Maybe your animal companion agreed to play a role in helping you gain self-confidence, allowed you to experience unconditional love for the first time, helped you raise the children, or supported you through a challenging time. This card is a beautiful reminder that no matter the length of time you are graced with your animal companion, you can trust that your time together served its purpose.
Oh.
So it's called We Did It. And she's like feeling very proud, very, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm fine now, but
Oh.
now, well, let me give some background to this and tell you how accurate that is.
Okay.
When I first met my husband, my daughter was 9, I think, and as she got a little bit older and started being a teenager and got a bit ratty like some of them do, there was a lot of friction between the two of them. And I was stuck in the middle. They were both sort of coming to me about each other. And for some reason, I just thought, I need to get a dog. This family needs a dog. And I went to the pound. I'd been looking and looking, and I went to the pound. I went to look for another dog, and then I saw Daisy, and that was it. And Daisy had been they didn't even know her backstory, but she'd obviously been abused, because the whole time we've had her, we could never reach down and pat her. She would pull away. And she healed that relationship between my husband and my daughter. And I just knew. I don't know how I knew. And he didn't want a dog. My daughter loved her and was surprised. We all loved her. But yeah, that's exactly what Daisy did. She brought the family back together as a family unit.
Oh, that is so special. And you, being you, Susie, amazing, intuitive you recognized that when you saw it and you grabbed it. And that's that soul contract. You may not have had all the answers or known what she was going to do, what was going to happen, or what was even needed. You went, I need to get a dog. There you go. So you've got that, and you went, there she is.
Yeah.
And oh, that's beautiful.
That's true. So thank you. Thank you about that. Oh God, I can't look like a mess. So as I said, I just think there's the most wonderful card deck. I can't wait to order mine, and I'll certainly share details about that. And as you said, you also, people can book readings with you for their animals or for themselves, whatever it is that's, and it's normally, I find, when we get to this point, it's when we get to the point where we know something's got to change, or we know that there's something ahead, and we're searching. I call it, you probably heard of the author, Dr. Barbara DeAngelis. She calls it soul shopping, where we're looking for things we don't know why or what, but we just feel this restlessness and this yearning. So I urge anyone who's feeling this way to reach out to Susan and have a reading. I've had one for myself a few years back, and of course that with your animals. I mean, I've got a lot of friends who have animals, I can tell you, and we all, they're like our children. So I'm so thrilled that you've done this, and I'm so proud of you. And the card deck is just beautiful.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I just feel just grateful to have been able to do this and to be here with you and to have this conversation, because I feel it is part of what people are seeking, that merging that meaning and that just that whole understanding. And I'm just so grateful Daisy chose that for you. Yeah.
So apart from that, last time we spoke, you told me about another project. You must be very busy, is all I can say. And because you're vegetarian, you're vegan, aren't you?
Yes, I am now.
And I was actually telling another friend of mine about what you've created, which is called the Bful Plate. And she's actually just run a retreat herself where they had a vegan food the whole time of the retreat. It was actually for people with, most of the people there had cancer. Women had cancer or chronic illnesses. So it was really important to support them. And Sammy's a vegetarian as well. But she said she so enjoyed, she just felt so clean and refreshed and energized from just those, I think it was 5 days of eating that food. And you've come up with something which I think is just amazing. Would you like to just explain a bit more about what the Bful Plate is?
Of course. Thank you so much. Thank you for that, for this opportunity to talk about it, because it is so near and dear to my heart. It's like the next evolution of me with animals. So the Bful Plate came about, as the animals were starting on one end talking to me. I think I can't say that we all, but I did. I grew up in a home where we had meat and potatoes and we ate fish, and I'm in Maine. We ate lobster, like the whole thing. It was, we had milk delivered to our doorstep, from the local dairy farm. But then factory farming came in, and that's where things changed for people and animals. But that said, it took me, it took time for me and the animals to start talking to me. And I never had a communication with a cow or a pig or farmed, quote unquote, farmed animals. I just want to back into, there are no farmed animals. They were just animals. So when we categorize them, we are separating ourselves from that which is like a divine connection. And when we do that, we're not going to, it's not in order, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But that said, so a cow got my attention online. I remember being, I had already given up dairy and red meat. I was kind of going through I didn't know exactly how and why, but I knew my body, as I became more in tune with animal companions, my body was rejecting the flesh and body fluids from other animals. It took time for me to understand how and why that was happening, but a cow and a pig on factory farms got my attention, told me some things I didn't know were true. The harshness of it, the horrific, barbaric things that have to happen when you have between 80 and 90 billion, with a B, animals in the food system slaughtered per year. That is a fast pace. There is nothing humane happening in a slaughterhouse or on a factory farm. I didn't know that. I would get my hamburger, I would do this and that. They told me, I was told that a long time ago. So I understood that. As I moved on in my work with animals, I just learned more. I mean, it was my role to, I wanted to, I had the thirst for it. I had to find out, and I didn't want to put that into my body. I couldn't. It was like, wait. So that's called cognitive dissonance. We all have it about something. Like I totally experienced it with the food system. And, we can defend what we want to the nine, the ends of the earth. But when the facts are in front of us, we have to look at that and go, what is my role? So what is my role in that? Every time I buy something, or I order something at the restaurant or through a drive-through or a barbecue, I'm funding it. And I don't know, I couldn't reconcile that, because my role with the animals is to love them and to protect them and to help humans understand them and find that harmony. Here I was on the other end doing the opposite. But that was the world's conditioning. That wasn't my heart. So the peaceful plate came about through animals saying, we all are born with compassion. If you bring a toddler to a farm, to an animal farm, or factory farm, even any sort of place, they're going to run up to the goat and they're going to hug them and kiss them. The chicken, they're going to pick them up. They're going to love animals. They don't have that filter. They don't know when they go home, the chicken nugget was that chicken. That's not a connection. That's the world telling us what to eat, when, and why. So our role, I feel like human beings have the right to know, like it's our divine right to understand that I don't know if I want to participate in something I don't believe in, like it insults my soul. I have a right not to. And so how do I live? How do I eat? What am I going to do? What's nourishment? How do we do this? And it goes like back to the Garden of Eden. When you think about even Genesis, it was a garden. It was an apple, right? And it all that other stuff came later, and whatever. That's a whole different conversation. But it's I guess what I'm trying to say is like the peaceful plate came from a space of reclaiming your compassion and understanding like true nourishment comes from actually the ground, because the animals on factory farms, like the cow and the pig and the chickens, they're herbivores, so they're plant-based. And so if they're plant-based and getting everything they need, they're just the middle guy to the protein, to the B12 and all the other nutrients and iron and all the other things that come from someone else's body, but it's because they ate plants. It's all in the plants. So if you want to reconcile that part of you to go, no, I actually do love animals. Well, what animals? Pets? No, all of them. Like, I understand, I want that respect. There's a choice now. And the Bful Plate just leads you, is it, it can be A, B, C, D, right through. What I take people through is that, finding out your why. What is your why? What is the pull towards plant-based? Why do you want to be plant-based or vegan? And sometimes that came later for me. And it can be right off the bat for someone else. But it's that process. And so what I needed to do, what I had to do to feed myself well, I got a plant-based nutrition certificate through Dr. T. Colin Campbell, who wrote with his son the China study. So if anybody could just walk away from this with my card deck and the China study, that's all I'm about right now. And so that just sort of did the proving and disproving of the plant-based nutrition, and how the whole part of diabetes and obesity and heart disease, we didn't have that in the 30s and 40s. It came upon factory farming when all the franchises came out. McDonald's was one of the first. We're really talking about the 50s, 60s, and 70s of the onslaught. Now we have a million more. And listen, I am a woman who who owned franchises with my husband. Okay. And I manifested us out of that. I manifested us out when all of this was coming to me. So that was his business. That was his thing. But that was exactly the time the cow and the pig was coming. And I'm just like, I am washing my hands of all of it. And I had to, and I did. And we really got out of it early, super early than his plan. But that was why. So the Bful Plate, I just want to give it. No, it's so right now, like, I do one-on-one sessions for anyone that is pulled. They just feel they want to even be plant forward or plant-based or vegan, whatever it is, just to have less animal products in their bodies for nutrition. And also I'm developing a course to do a 4-week class of meeting one time a week and getting through the 4 specific areas that we can go through together for your first month. I have all my PDFs, I have all my cheat notes and all the things and all the nutrition facts, and especially the energetic part from the animals, which you don't read much, you don't see about it much, but it's what they taught me. That's what they showed me. It's like, I remember the cow, she was saying, when you're consuming my grief, my pain,
Ooh.
and my oppression. So she's completely oppressed. This is the cow, the dairy cow is actually the beginning of, she is also the meat industry. Because without her and without her uterus, there are no babies. There's nothing. So she is right from the beginning, right in it. And, without milk, to get milk, to have milk, you have to be a mother. But the baby can't have the milk if humans are going to. So the baby gets pulled away, and the males are going to a crate. They become veal. The females are in the circle of pain, and the whole thing is a violent cycle. And when people don't understand, and I didn't either, that we're consuming that. And there's a whole other conversation, probably not today, but it contributes to, like, when people say, what's wrong in the world? The world's getting very violent, and we're consuming violence on top of violence on top of violence. And you can't put that in your body. You can't put that kind of grief and that negative energetic energy in. And where does it go? Because energy is just looking, it's looking for its next host. And anyway, that's where that comes from.
So it's
a lot.
People can have a session with you, an initial session, or I guess as many as they want, but you also supply them with information on gathering recipes and
oh, exactly,
program, everything. So that's a really, I've never heard of anything like that. But also I didn't realise the basis behind it before when we spoke. So it's given me a lot more information. I never thought of looking at it that way. So it's such a wonderful service. So if anyone is interested, you know, that's a way of life that they'd like to choose, and I know it's becoming a lot more prevalent, then Susan is your person to connect with, because she's always putting up pictures of yummy things that she's made too.
On my Instagram. Yeah, I love sharing my food. It's like, oh, plant-based, like whole food plant-based is like so fun and yummy. It's like it's very delicious. You can
I'll have to check it out too, I think.
Thank you.
Well, I'm just aware of time now, and it's nighttime over there for you. It's morning here for me. I think we've covered a lot. I think we could actually have another chat. We could just keep going. But is there anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap up for today?
Oh, no, just thank you. I just want to thank you so much. And if anybody wants to check out my deck, it's coming out early June. So you can find my website and get on my my early read, my list to find out exactly when it's coming up, because I just really I'm really proud of that. And I want to just share it with everybody and share it with the world. So thank you for this opportunity, Susan.
Absolute pleasure. I'm here to share. That's what I do. And, you know, people, as I said, everyone's got something to share, and you are just so amazing. And I'm so grateful that you came on and we got it. We made it. You made it happen. So, as I said, I will be sharing all your details. Please connect with Susan. You can follow her on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. I don't know what you're on, just Instagram. So I'll put all the links, and thank you for my message from beautiful Daisy. I'm very, very grateful, and I'll hopefully talk to you again soon.
Talk to you soon. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and I hope you tune in next time for the Untangling. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for joining me today on the Untangling series podcast. I feel absolutely blessed to be on this journey with you. If you would like more details on where to purchase my book, The Untangling, I've popped the link in the notes below. Perhaps you may feel called to work with me one-on-one to support you in your own untangling. I would love that. I offer my services as a coach to walk you through this process in a unique, bespoke program created solely for you, because you are unique. Another one of my passions is offering my services as a keynote speaker. I do like engaging with others, as you can probably tell. If any of that is of interest to you, you can contact me directly by the links below, or head on over to my website at susiedejeong.com.au, and I will get straight back to you, I promise. I love what I do, and I know what my purpose is: to pay it forward and help others untangle and find their own freedom and joy. So bye for now, and I look forward to seeing you next time.